Spotting another fairy, he squirted her. To make sure, he stepped on this one and ground his foot around. The fairy squealed. 59, Hoggle said. Sarah was thinking, still sucking her finger. He seemed to know about her. So he must have something to do with Jareth, mustn't he? Some kind of spy, maybe. Well, maybe. Yet he was not her idea of a spy. Spies weren't grumpy. They didn't play mean tricks on you. Did they? If all her opinions were wrong, as he'd said, then this one might be wrong too. But in that case, she thought, supposing he is a spy, then it might be his job to persuade me that all my opinions are wrong when really they are all correct. And if they are all correct, he is not a spy. But that would mean he had no motive for persuading me that I'm wrong about everything, and so probably I'm wrong about this too. And so, supposing he is a spy... Oh! She exclaimed in exasperation. It was like one of those drawings she had seen in a book at home, where the water seems to be flowing uphill, and yet you can never put your finger on just where the drawing is telling you a lie. Hoggle tore a leaf from a different plant and offered it to her, with a sort of twinkling scowl on his face. She took her finger from her mouth. The pain was easing now. She shook her head and had to smile a little at the funny, wizened face of his. His expression in answer went dark again. He looked at her mistrustfully. He was not used to being smiled at it. Well, she thought, there's nothing else to do. Whether or not he is here to spy on me, he's the only person I can ask for help. So she tried. Do you know where the door to the labyrinth is? He screwed up his face. Maybe. All right, where is it? Instead of replying, he dodged to one side, raising his spray can. 60. I said, where is it? Where's what? The door. What door? The door into the labyrinth. The door into the labyrinth. Oh, that's a good one. He laughed, not kindly. Sarah wanted to punch him. It's hopeless asking you anything. Not if you ask the right questions. He was giving her a sidelong look. You're as green as a cucumber. Well, what are the right questions? Hoggle stroked the top of his nose. It depends on what you want to know. That's easy. How do I get into the labyrinth? Hoggle sniffed and his eyes twinkled. Ah, now that's more like it. She thought she heard that music in the air again, the magic music that had hummed around the Goblin King. You gets in there. He nodded, indicating behind her. You got to ask the right questions if you want to get anywhere in the labyrinth. Sarah had spun around. Now in the great wall she saw a huge, grotesquely designed gate. She stared at it almost accusingly. She could have sworn it had not been there before. There ain't no door, see? Hoggle was explaining. All you got to do now is find the key. She looked back at him and then all around her. She saw at once that it was going to be no problem to find the key. Near her was a very small mat, and from each end of it an enormous key was sticking out. Well, she said, that's simple enough. She went over to the key and tried to pick it up. She could just manage to get one end of it off the ground, or the other, but the whole key was too heavy for her to lift up to the keyhole in the gate. She glared at Hoggle. I suppose it's too much to expect you to give me a hand. Yes, Hoggle said. She tried again, straining to lift it. It was hopeless. Oh, she said, this is so stupid. You mean you're so stupid, Hoggle corrected her. Shut up, you rotten little Pipsqueak. Don't call me that. Hoggle was agitated. I am not a Pipsqueak. Yes, you are, Sarah said. She was uneasily reminded of herself at a much younger age at school, chanting cruel jibes at some tormented girl, but she persisted. Yes, you are, rotten little nasty ugly Pipsqueak. Hoggle was beside himself with rage. Don't call me that, he said hysterically. You're so stupid you are. You take everything for granted. Pipsqueak, Pipsqueak. I'm not. Stop it. Nasty, creepy little Pipsqueak. Hoggle collected himself and with some dignity told her, If you weren't so brainless, you'd try the gate. That stopped her short. She thought for a moment, then went to the gate and gave it a little push. It swung open. Nobody said it was locked, Hoggle observed. Very clever. You think you're so clever, Hoggle said. You know why? Because you ain't learned nothing. Sarah was peering cautiously inside the gate. She did not like what she saw. It was dark and forbidding in there. The music humming in the air seemed to be more intense. There was a smell of things rotting. She gathered her courage and took 2 steps into the labyrinth. Then she stopped short. A passageway ran across the entrance. It was so narrow and the wall was so high that the sky was a mere slit over her head. In the gloom, she heard a continual drip of water, echoing. She approached the further wall, touched it, and pulled her hand away. It was dank and slimy, like mildew. Hoggle's head was poking through the gateway behind her. Cozy, ain't it? Sarah shuddered. Hoggle's manner had altered. He was quiet, and it was almost possible to detect a hint of concern in his voice. You, really going in there, are you? Sarah hesitated. Yes, she said. Yes, I am. Is there any reason why I shouldn't? She was clenching her fists. It did seem such a dreadfully gloomy place inside the gate. There's every reason why you shouldn't, Hoggle replied. Is there any reason why you should? Any really good reason? Yes, there is. She paused. So I suppose I must. All right, Hoggle said in a tone of voice that implied on your own head be it. Now, he asked, which way will you go, right or left? She looked one way and then the other. There was no reason to choose either one or the other. Both looked grim. The brick walls appeared to extend to infinity. She shrugged, wanting some help, but too proud to ask for it. They both look the same, she said. Well, Hoggle told her, you're not going to get very far then, are you? All right, she said crossly. Which way would you go? Me? He laughed without mirth. I wouldn't go either way. Some guide you are. I never said it was a guide, did I? Although you could certainly use one. You'll probably end up back where you started, given your record for being wrong. Well, Sarah snapped at him, if that's all the help you're going to be, you might as well let me get on with it. You know your problem, Hoggle asked. She took no notice, but tried to look determined to set out in one direction or the other. Left, right, she was thinking. That was the normal order. So in this abnormal place, she might as well try going to the right, mightn't she? I told you, you take too many things for granted, Hoggle went on. The labyrinth, for instance. Even if you get to the center, which is extremely doubtful, you'll never get out again. That's your opinion. Sarah moved to her right. Well, it's a better opinion than any of yours. Thanks for nothing, Hogwart. Hoggle! His voice came echoing from the gateway, where he remained. And don't say I didn't warn you. Her jaw set. She strode out between the damp and dire walls. She had gone only a few strides when, with a mighty, reverberating clang, the gate closed behind her. She stopped and could not resist returning to see if the gate would open again. It wouldn't. Hoggle was shut outside. The only sounds in the labyrinth now were the drip of water and Sarah's quick breathing.